What's going on, people?
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Talk Football NFC South Takeover Episode 2. How are you all doing? Better late than never, hey?
Absolutely.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, thanks everybody for getting together tonight. I really appreciate it. And I like how we're just winging it tonight. So, topics are going to be flying, ladies and gentlemen. We are planning on doing this weekly, hopefully. Schedule is tentative, right? But lots to talk about. So, let's get into it. Sean, how's it going, dude?
Man, it's always good. Always good. Yeah. Wish my team felt as good as I do. You know?
Yeah.
A team it's been a rough year. I will say that. All right, but we're gonna keep pounding. You know, and you know what? You and I talked before the show about how do I feel about us. It's been a rough season, but like you said, you know, Bryce Young he's been getting hit, but he's been really sticking it out. Like he's still out here trying to do something, but you just don't have a lot to work with. And Theo's doing what he can, but it's a struggle.
Well, and then not only that, but like I just saw on the I guess the chart for free agents too, you also have Brian Burns being dangled, right, as a potential trade target as well, right? That's dangerous to look at, right? Like, can you imagine losing Brian Burns too? Like at that point, like to me, minus like you losing
That's what I'm saying. Think about it last year.
Young. Yeah.
Think about this time last year when Robbie Anderson, CMC, both of them. It's a reoccurring cycle, man.
Well, and like, correct me if I'm wrong though. If you lose Brian Burns, like if that does happen and they don't re-sign him, like who's left on that team besides J.C. Horn and Adam Thielen? And Adam Thielen, actually, surprisingly, that's one thing I will say to anybody that's watching. He's been an absolute gem in fantasy for me. Like he is producing points on Carolina. But I think that's potentially just because like what other targets does Carolina really have, right? Like I know Andrew, you're gonna hate this, but Chuba Hubbard isn't doing anything really. And then you have Miles Sanders. Right? Miles Sanders is still being Miles Sanders, but not to the level obviously that he was on Philly, right? So yeah, you know, I don't think you're wrong necessarily, Sean. I think there's still rebuilding happening, and I still think that Carolina hasn't necessarily found its roots yet.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at last game, I mean, you know, everybody knew we were going to get blown out against Miami. But if you look at that game in the first 5 minutes, we're up 14. You know what I mean? Bryce Young is driving down there, and something is working right. But doing that for a little bit of the game and sustaining that through 4 quarters against a powerful team like that, and obviously it's too much for us. But, hey, we're getting there. Just keep pounding. We're getting there.
That's it. Foobs, what about you? How your Bucs have went through some crazy transformations, and you know there's been I'm a part of a lot of these Bucs pages, Bucs Live, and all these different pages. But everybody's saying, is it the rise up again of Baker Mayfield, or is this one of those red herrings that is just being dangled in front of Bucs Nation?
Well, I mean, we beat the Saints. So that's always good. Beating the Saints is always a good thing when you can beat the Saints. Saying beating the Saints actually even feels better, especially when you go to a wedding dressed as a pirate the day before of a Saints fan's wedding, just to make sure.
Wow.
But the Saints lost to the Bucs, so I mean the Bucs won, so that was good. But sorry. Okay, so the Bucs are besides the Saints, because we don't necessarily know what the Saints are either. The Bucs can't beat good teams. Bucs can't beat playoff teams. So we're not a bottom feeder. We're right in the middle of the pack, in my opinion, when it comes to teams in the league this year. Baker Mayfield has done a formidable job for himself, and I'll give him that. But he's not – after this year with the Buccaneers, it's going to be difficult with the cap space to keep any type of major player anyway. I just don't see him being more than a top 15 or like top 20-ish quarterback, and he's not the answer going forward, in my opinion, after this year. I mean, if we have no other options, then, whatever. But he's done a good job. He has done a good job, and he's going to get paid as long as he keeps beating these really bad teams, including tomorrow. I was waiting for Kyle to get mad at that one. He didn't know.
Well, there's no point. I know you're really hopeful about it, and like that's the thing. I know what the outcome is going to be tomorrow, so like it's not going to even get under my skin.
Here's the thing. I don't actually know what it's going to be. I'm not going to be cocky like everybody I've seen on these pages being like, it's the Falcons. What do the Falcons have? It's just like, listen.
It's not a blowout by any means. I don't think
No. I just think that, like, we've had guys, and I've used this on shows before, but we've had guys like Myles Gaskins and David Montgomery burn us when we were supposed to have the number one run defense. Bijan Robinson can easily come in and just make us look ridiculous. I think it's going to be a lot closer than Buccaneer fans actually think. I think it's probably going to be like 27-25.
I think most within 5 points. I think for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll just be a lot of like within the last 5 minutes. I think it'll be like 24 to. What would that be? 24-17, and then either the Bucs or the Falcons would get a touchdown, and then they say, screw it, we're going for 2, and then they get the 2, and then one of the teams gets a field goal, and then the other team drives down and gets another field goal.
Choke like the Saints did.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't say it this time.
I want to point out, though,
I feel for you.
I have been 100 from what I called on Sean's show of what the Falcons were going to be. I have been perfect so far. So I'm just saying, I called a win against the Bucs. I said we were going to sweep them. If it happens or not is a different story.
I was like, wait a second, did that game already happen or something? What?
No, it didn't. But we'll touch base on that too. So I definitely agree with some of your points for sure. Not necessarily all buying into Baker Mayfield, and that's the troubling thing, right? And I guess we'll transition to Nicole with this, but you don't want to give the bank to Baker Mayfield just with the hopes that he's going to be your guy for the formidable future, right? In your words, right? But I don't know. It's tough to say. I think maybe you could use it as a bridge and just kind of see if maybe what he would do for a couple of seasons if he does continue and he wins the division. But I don't know. Most of our teams, minus I guess the Panthers. I'm not going to categorize the Saints in this category, but they don't really know who their guy under the helm is going to be, right? So, I think it could be a possibility where we're going to be dangling some trade targets. Come close to draft season, right? So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I guess with that being said, Nicole, how do you feel so far about Derek Carr?
Oh, goodness. The highs and the lows, I was like, he's not Andy Dalton. This is great. Andy Dalton, who, what? Never mind, Teddy Bridgewater, what, who, what? Yeah, doesn't matter. But, he was CJ Stroud. I just got to tell you, that little Tasmanian,
he's good
guy just going around. So it started with the Texans. That was our downfall, and then sadly enough also too with the Bucs. I hate to say it about that 9, but that sucked for us, and it continued up until Thursday night. I think you could see the pent-up aggression with Derek Carr. Olave, he gave up halfway through running a large play. He's just like, no, man, I'm not getting that. So there's a lot of questions right now in New Orleans about if he's lost the room already with his offense, because it didn't look like the offense and him were connecting.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I've always kind of had my choice opinions about Derek Carr. There's definitely been some question whether, he was in the category of elite quarterbacks or he was just one of those quarterbacks that, is more so just a visage, right? And I don't know, with him, I never really thought that the Las Vegas Raiders really had a bad team per se. I just kind of felt like the chemistry wasn't all there, and as well with the coaching as well. Like the coaching was questionable at least for a few years, right? So
we came back. We came back the whole entire game, and then we were there. 3rd and goal, 4th and goal. Did we execute? No.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is like Derek Carr has been decent, but at the same time, like I don't know.
Will Lutz also too. We missed him as a kicker. We could have won that game even if we had a better kicker.
Will Lutz is not that bad of a kicker. He's not that bad.
We have Goop now.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know who that is.
Goop?
Yeah, no idea who that is.
Wow.
Goop.
No,
he missed a couple times. Let's just say that. He's a rookie.
Whoops. We're going whoops. That's what.
Yes.
Well, it can't be worse than the Panthers kicker last season. My God, man. That guy I'm surprised they brought him back. I'm surprised.
Listen, anybody can get a job with us, all right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess going with myself with the Falcons right now. I don't know. I've watched most of the games. I was working crazy hours for the last bit, so I did miss the full Texans game, but I kind of got a little bit of the highlights. So far, from what I've seen, it's kind of what I've expected almost. Like, I've expected Desmond Ridder to be better than what people thought, and like that's true. I think from what I can see, it is true. Is he elite? Nowhere near, for sure. Definitely not. But Bijan Robinson definitely has been one of the big selling points on that team. Like, he's doing amazing, both as a receiver and as a pass rusher. So, you know, he's been definitely doing good with rushing yards and everything like that. I think that's amazing. You know, I still see them feeding Tyler Algier, but at the same time, like, I think they feed Tyler Algier too much, and teams kind of expect it now. So it is the same kind of problems as last year so far from what I've seen, though. Like, it's been, you know, we're rushing, and I'm having a hard time determining if it's just like the coaching style or if they're just trying to utilize their weapons, because it's kind of hard to distinguish what we're doing here, right? I don't think Kyle Pitts is being utilized enough. Even more so, I don't think Drake London's being utilized enough, actually, as of this season. That's the number one where I'm like, why aren't we throwing as much to Drake London? Because like, it's not for the matter of him getting open. Like, I think he's running good routes, and I think also Kyle Pitts is running pretty good routes too, for the most part, from what I've seen. But again, like, they're not using these targets. We're still rushing. So
I also don't think Ritter's accuracy is fully there for those guys personally. Like, Ritter's like decent and he's got good running ability and stuff like that, and he does randomly have a really good long arm. Yeah, but there has been times where, like, I have watched some of those highlights too, because everyone's like, "Oh, Drake London is just dropping passes," and I'm like, "Well, how do you expect him to catch some of them? Like, it's like, you know, Evans and, you know, Amari Cooper and some of the other guys in the league are having like the same issues, and that could be classified as whatever. But like Ridder on a few of those is just like he's just trying, and the ball's kind of fluttering. And I'm not saying that like Drake London has to catch every single one of those to prove that he's a good quarterback or to prove that he's a good wide receiver. But like, you know, if you consistently get good balls to your wide receivers and to your tight ends, you will get good results.
Well, and here's the thing too, is like, even to tie in with that, like Julio Jones, right? Like, can we be honest here? Julio Jones is rated one of the best quarterbacks ever to be on the Falcons, but like, essentially that's based off of a singular season. Literally, basically a singular season. So, like, can you even really consider like Julio Jones as the elite wide receiver? Even though he'll always be in that category, it's just something to be said. And then also going with like what you were saying about Mike Evans, like Mike Evans is a phenomenal wide receiver, right? But at the same time, like, who's throwing the ball? It's Baker Mayfield, right? And Baker Mayfield, the question has always been his arm, right? His arm and accuracy. So it's just another situation. I do think you're right. Absolutely. I think that, you know, Desmond Ridder is still playing his first full season as starting quarterback, which is nice, right? I don't know. Last game, it really was like, to me, it was pretty clear they lost last game not because of Desmond Ridder, and I know that's kind of ballsy to say. That was because of the play calling, 100%. And you could see it. It just, there's times where you can question it a little bit, but just seeing how Desmond Ridder was getting frustrated with Arthur Smith on the bench too.
Yep.
And how there was that, like there was the 2 calls that, it was a time clock violation at crucial moments.
Three against us.
Or 3. And that's what I mean. It's like, okay, like what plays are being called? And like there was no plays being called. So I don't know. There's been a question mark about Arthur Smith. I'm shocked right now that they don't have him on the top 5 hot seat. But he definitely,
because he's on the Pat McAfee show. They don't want to get rid of that.
Oh, God.
Wow. Yeah. But the short of it is, the Falcons are doing what I think they've been doing. I know we play the Bucs next week. I'm not going to say the Bucs are an easy opponent because they're not. But the next bit of our schedule
isn't it tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. That's what I mean. So week 7. But the next few weeks are our easier weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see how it's going to roll out. Again, I said the ceiling was 10-7. I don't think that's unreasonable, but I will have to wait and see. The one thing I can say, I guess, to kind of like top it all off, though, is the NFC South as a whole is a lot more interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
My lights There's back.
You froze for a second.
My lights are doing weird things, man. It's on.
Here we go.
There's construction in my basement, so.
Stay with us.
No, I'm not going anywhere. Hold on, you know what? Let me go off of Wi-Fi. Hold on. Hopefully I don't pause and get out of here. Hold on.
This is great audio.
Oh, there we go. I'm good. Okay.
There we go.
Just in case the internet goes out, I'm worried about it right now.
There we go.
But no, did you guys get that? I just was saying that the NFC South is a lot more interesting to watch compared to last season. Like it's not boring at the very least, right? Like each team, minus the Carolina Panthers, that again, this is a whole other topic that it sucks, but literally right now the Chicago Bears are looking to get the first 2 picks overall, which is stupid, but whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, it's a good season.
The salt on the wound would be if the Bears use the Panthers draft pick to use it on Marvin Harrison Jr. Just to be that guy.
Can we talk about this for a minute, actually? Because I'm gonna be honest. I know we have Bear fans that watch this show, but I'm gonna lose a whole crap ton of respect if they go and draft Caleb Williams. I know it makes sense. I get it because he potentially is a generational talent, but to me right now, and I'm not comparing in terms of skill level, but he has the same attitude as Spencer Rattler. The guy has an attitude, right? To go out and say, and I know he's now, I don't know if he's necessarily proven.
I know what you're about to say too about the whole he wants the ownership and stuff like that.
No, not even that.
Okay,
he's I'm only going to these teams. No,
that also too. So all of that is not. He hasn't said that. That's all the rumors and stuff like that. But it is basically almost confirmed because whether it's true or not, because it is rumors, but he's not going to come out and say it either because that'll just hurt his draft stock even more.
Yeah.
But no, if he were to do that, he's hurting himself because everybody's talking about the NIL and the college players get paid and stuff like that, and it's deals that are enough to be generational. That's true. But if that was enough to be generational, then people wouldn't be going for second and third contracts in the NFL and other leagues anyway. Because then they would have the generational wealth anyway, right? It's the fact that you can always get more. And people want to be legendary. It's no different than, say, you and I or anybody else in the comment section. Somebody has a chance to do something that's legendary or different than the opportunity or than the scenario that they already have, they'll go. But I also don't think that those rumors are too far-fetched either.
Sean and Nicole, I definitely want to get your opinion on this, but like I'm actually going to compare this to hockey right now because this is a great comparison to this. So you look at McDavid of when he came into like the Oilers like organization, right? Because at that point the Oilers were in complete full rebuild, and he didn't necessarily want to go into that, but he did because like you got to honor how the draft like works, right? You got to honor how I guess even draft stock works. Right? Yeah, exactly. No, for sure, right? But like you don't see him giving his list, I'm not going to this team, right? And I think what makes a really good player, in my opinion, is number one, you got to embrace the change. When you go there, sure, you're going to make an immediate impact, but that doesn't mean you're going to make an immediate impact to their win-loss column, right? Is you're going to start building chemistry. You're going to start building plays and stuff within that team. They build around you or they build with you, right? And the thing is if you look at the Oilers now, what is it? Like 7 years later, right? 7 or 8 years later, even though their season's not going well to start, like they've been called a Stanley Cup contending team for the last 3 years in a row, right? Because they built up to it. McDavid didn't go away. Like he didn't like throw a hissy fit or anything like that, right? So, Caleb Williams is going into true, but Caleb Williams going into the Bears situation, like if he does get drafted to the Bears, then like, okay, that's where you're gonna go, man. Like, you shouldn't. I don't know. I don't think these quarterbacks or like actually any player in any sport should be like, oh well, I'm not going to these teams because I feel like I'm better than this. Well, that's not how drafting works. For the most part, if you're a really good player, you should expect to be going to.
I think that's a little bit of like a first initial kiss. Welcome to the NFL. Of like, you're not in college anymore. You don't have your, you're not really handheld into a state. The universities that will get you your schooling and stuff like that. That's a lot of pressure. They have a lot of like scouts working also too within college. And finally, once you're after that, I think a little bit different. Stepping into the NFL is like, I don't know. It is kind of like the university of the college of the universities. In a way of a sense of they have to re-understand the rules, and I don't know. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, he had to do his time, but also too, they're getting a contract of $1 million. They're getting paid millions of dollars, right? To be with that team, and when you get drafted and stuff. So I mean, as far as the NHL goes, I don't know about being a rookie is equal as to the amount of money as it is.
Well, I think it works the same. I believe so, and Andrew, you can attest to this. I'm pretty sure. No matter what, whether you're in NHL, NFL, you're getting your rookie contract, and that's how it's going to be, right? You get your rookie contract, and then at that point it's after that rookie contract when you get paid.
Yep, I agreed. Now, I do want to say a couple of things because I do actually have to go in a couple minutes because we actually just got food here.
Drake May is losing to Virginia, and they're 1-5.
Yep. So I wanted to touch base on that Bears thing as well. If you get the first and second overall pick, and you're the Bears, I'm just assuming, just based off of it right now, you use that second overall pick and you get Marvin Harrison Jr. You use that first overall pick and you trade it to a team that is going to do exactly what the Carolina Panthers did last year, and that's give you a boatload of picks and possibly a player or 4 if you ask for it, and basically and allow you that opportunity to go and draft talent later on. Like, for example, the Bears could easily go into the second round and get just as good of a quarterback as they would have last year or the year before, because this year is looking to be stacked. If you have J.J. McCarthy, if you have Bo Nix, and you have Riley Leonard, and you have even Jordan Travis or any of those guys, Sam Hartman, just because our boy is on the show here. Like, if any of those guys are available to the Bears with the 33rd overall pick, and you want to go that route, you then could. Like, if you took Riley Leonard, and for example, and the way that he's playing right now, and you were able to go and have Justin Fields for another year or two, and you changed that that head coach around, and you made it so that, like that comment said, you get a little bit more stability in-house where you can actually have something for a quarterback, then Riley Leonard could be actually something really, really great. And you could have something in Chicago. But I think they got to start doing that like now. If you go and grab Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., cool, it's going to be fun. It's going to sell jerseys and stuff like that. But like, are you going to protect them? You can have a defense around him.
I think the bigger question has to be, I mean, you can't keep flipping. You know, Washington's going through that same thing. You can't keep getting a quarterback and saying, "Oh, well, what if we get him? What if we get him?" If you're not going to protect the person you have, and let's be honest, Justin Fields, everybody gives him crap, but he's been dealing with no line, no coaching staff. He's been dealing with the poor defense, always playing from behind. This dude is balling out. And what he did against Denver, and unfortunately what he did against us, is putting the league on notice. I'm doing this with one wide receiver right now. You know what I mean? And I'm doing this with a subpar D. Like in that game, all of his active running backs were hurt. It was just him and a fullback, and they were still able to get to it. So I think, and this is something I dislike about the draft process, is that everybody pushes these guys up to the front. And they're just like, put them out there. And it's like, I get it, but this ain't the old days when some of these guys ain't getting money. Now these guys are getting money in college. I think there's a benefit to keeping them in and playing a year or two more, getting a championship, growing, learning something. That's just me. But I think I agree with you. I think it'd be crazy if they go after Caleb Williams or go after one of these quarterbacks. It's ridiculous. You need other things, and that's what Nick was saying.
Like, even if those picks drop down to be like the 5th and 6th overall pick, and for some odd reason Marvin Harrison Jr. is still there, then you grab him. But even then, you can grab
him though.
But if he's gone, you can still grab Keon Coleman from Florida State, and then you can go and grab another guy from Florida State in Jared Verse. And then all of a sudden you want to talk about the start to your rebuild. Those are 2 names already. Or you can go and grab an offensive lineman. You can go grab Joe Alt, and then all of a sudden your left tackle situation is done. Finito for 15 years. You have no more left tackle problem at all. I mean, you can go that route too. So Chicago's got the ability to build around for them, but it's just, it's not the right thing. So, but anyways, I got to get out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. Much love. I got Bucs winning tomorrow, but not by much, obviously. 28-27. So,
delusional. Chief, have a good night.
Have a good one.
So with that being said, I kind of want to transition with that too, because, he brought up some really valid points. And if we look at the last couple drafts, right, you look at some of these players that weren't the first overall, but they're absolutely styling. So you look at like Sauce Gardner, you look at Micah Parsons, right? These guys who weren't even in the top 5 overall picks, right? Mm-hmm. So that also poses a question is, like, how much does the NFL favor offensive weapons like wide receivers, quarterbacks, and all that? With the exception of Aiden Hutchinson last year, because that was accurate, right? Defensive end first overall. But like why don't we have many like other players like cornerbacks and all this like going first, right? Because realistically, it should be like that, right? If you look at how it should have been, right, in the last few years, like some of these positions, some of these tackles, like some of these cornerbacks, some of these safeties, they should have went first overall, and they didn't.
Yep.
It's just always been the way it was with the spotlight, and like you shine a light that way towards the goal. Everyone's looking up front and towards that, and no one's looking at the people behind in the defense on that side. Like, even in fantasy, I complain about this all the time. I'm such a defense person. I'm like, we need to have a fantasy league where I can choose defenseman players.
There is one. We'll get you in that.
Is there actually? Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, there is one. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just the same like that, It's just I don't know. It's a thing.
Well, and that's the thing too, is if you look at even the Falcons, for example, right? Like, one of the biggest holes in our team is our right tackle. Like, literally, our right tackle is super inconsistent, and it hurts if you don't have a solid left and right tackle. Yep. It doesn't do you any favors, right? And that's the thing is I do think that kind of maybe comes to more like veteran people that watch football, right? Seeing like, oh yeah, wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, defensive ends, like edge rushers, right? Like those are the guys. Well, no, like you have shitty linemen, you have shitty offensive like tackles, like any kind of offensive tackle. If you have shitty safeties, if you have shitty quarterbacks, you're getting burned.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's the flash. It's the the star players, the quarterback, the running back,
Yeah.
the wide receiver. They're flashy. They're in everybody's face. The edge rushers. You know what I mean? They're the flashy guys with the chains and all that stuff, and they're loud and everything like that. But to your point, you need. And I love how you so eloquently put it, Nicole. You need to. There's people that are in the spotlight, but you need those people that are behind that are supporting it. Those trenches, the O line, that D line, those linebackers. You need the lesser known guys. You need that to come in and play a bigger role, man. So but it's always going to be, like you said, Nicole, it's always going to be the front guys, the flashy quarterback, you know what I mean? Yeah. The big diva wide receiver. It's always going to be those type of guys that are going to get the attention. But I agree. We need to put more attention on these lines, these different positions that make a huge impact in a game that maybe we're not overlooking. A kicker. We talked about our kicker, and you know what I mean? You guys have one of the best, Young Hoku. I mean, we're all envious of you guys. So
he's good, man. He's good. Yeah, that's the thing is, kickers, they get the job done, especially in clutch situations, like without a doubt. Or not even just kickers. Like let's even talk about punters, right? Punters as a whole. Like when you're when you're driving like you're like another team down to the 10-yard line consistently, it's like, oh man, like you're not giving them a chance to have good field position. Like then they're heavily relying on their pass game and their running game, right? Like at that point, like it's just like that's unsaid. Punters don't get into like special teams as a whole. Don't get enough appreciation. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They play a vital role.
For sure. So I guess with that being said, how does week 6 look for each team? Well, I'm taking the Falcons as a W against the Bucs. I am taking that. I will kind of lean towards the side of Andrew. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I could see it within 5 points. If I had to give a score prediction, I don't know. We haven't really been scoring too much. I would guess maybe I think like 24-20.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Okay. Nicole, you already played this week.
12-24.
12-24.
For you, good sir. But we already played, and it was sad. I was Cam Jordan, no sack sandwiches. Where was his waving arms? Anyways, his arms are always great if Mark and me are in them.
Oh my god. What are you saying? What?
I love it.
Do you guys have like a Cam Jordan like poster on your wall or something in your room?
We should.
That's great.
Just a human-sized poster of Cam Jordan that you hug before you go to bed.
Both of us, we do.
Yes.
Let's say goodnight to Cam Jordan.
Mythic, legendary.
Yes, mythic, legendary.
Oh my god, that's funny.
No. But yeah, I also hope the Panthers. I want you guys to pull one out too.
Who do they play?
We're in a bye week.
Okay, then exactly. Well, you pull up a chair and you relax.
Not losing this week. Here we go.
They're gonna lose to the bye. They're gonna lose to the bye. Oh god, that's so funny. Oh god, that's good.
I'm glad our show's back. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think we can call that a wrap. It's a good show.
That works.
All right, guys. Well, I don't know. I guess, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.
Awesome.
All right.
Cheers.
Can't wait.
Have a good one.